I have just painted a picture for you of a world in which the rhetoric of a generation of Republicans that anybody who wants the government to work for ordinary Americans is socialism or communism. And now we have this sort of mythological group of or people who are running the country according to this mythological idea that if you get rid of that government altogether, everybody's going to do just great. And what we're seeing instead is that we're losing scientific research, cancer research, climate change mitigations, weather research, vaccines, the education. The administration said it was going to stop funding for public education the grants that had already actually been promised. We're seeing all this stripped away, and I don't know how Americans are going to react to all that being stripped away. I know that we got the government we have because Americans wanted it. There's a reason that nobody wanted to make these cuts before Trump, and the Supreme Court gave him the power to avoid prosecution for breaking the law, because they said we want a president who's willing to do stuff that probably he couldn't get away with otherwise, which is crazy if you think about it, but that would make sense with this Supreme Court. So what do we do? I mean, one of the things that always worries me is when people feel helpless, because there are 334 million of us. We are not helpless. And in this moment, speaking up is crucial, not just because of the moment in which we find ourselves now, but also because there are a lot of people currently running for office, and the people in office now will not live forever. And the people running for office need to know what we care about and that we will turn out to support them if they embrace the ideas that we care about. So speaking up now could not be more important. And what I mean by that is this. First of all, at the local level, I've mentioned this before, but in a number of states, the Moms for Liberty candidates in the last election lost their races for school board, getting rid of the sort of crazy right-wing stuff that they were putting through at the local level. At the state level, Wisconsin got rid of the 176-year-old law of banning abortion because of a state Supreme Court election. That election mattered a lot. And one of the things my friend Tom Nichols always says is that what the Republican advantage is over Democrats is that Republicans get out and they vote for everything on the ticket. And Democrats don't do that because they either think it's not important or they think they need to research the candidates better or whatever. But in the case of that Supreme Court election in Wisconsin, electing a liberal onto that Supreme Court made the difference for abortion rights in Wisconsin. So focusing on the local level and the state level matters a lot. But here's what also matters: talking to people, making sure people hear what you care about, what the cuts that we're seeing around us are going to do, but also what world you want, because we're not just fighting against something, we're fighting for something. And the ways you can do that are myriad. But one of the things that is not the way I work, but the way other people work: short videos recorded on your phone and posted to social media, really effective. And as part of that, the other thing that is really effective in changing the way people think about a government is art. I just cannot emphasize that enough. Graphic art, primarily, things that people can look at quickly and absorb very quickly, photographs, things that you can look at and get the message. Like I'm keeping a record in the letters I write for the future. But let's be honest, a lot of the people we need to reach are not going to read me. And I now have this wonderful woman cutting my stuff down to make it easier to share, which is fabulous. But that will never, ever have the impact of a really powerful poster. And having that sort of art out in public, showing people that that's what you believe in, is really important. Music is really important. Protests are going to be really important. Showing people that this administration does not have the power that it is trying to illustrate is going to be incredibly important going forward. So the other piece of that is recognizing that when people understand what the administration is doing and what it means for us, they oppose it overwhelmingly. Overwhelmingly. The problem is an awful lot of people don't understand what's happening and they're not paying attention and they don't care about politics. Those are the people that need to get engaged going forward. Those are the people we need to reach because there's an awful lot of people who are sitting there saying, how bad can it be? The country's been around here for 248 years. We've always survived people in the past. We now have, as I said, one concentration camp at least. We're working with others in other countries. And what a concentration camp means, it is literally a concentration of people. So they're pushed together. And that almost always means that the sanitary conditions and the health conditions are very poor, which we're already seeing, by the way, in that Florida detention facility. But it also means that they are people who are outside the bounds of legal recourse. That is, they have not had due process. They are not covered by the law. They are often far away from other people, so they can't, people don't examine what's happening to them. And they are sort of deliberately put outside of sort of everyday society. And that's absolutely what's going on in the Everglades. So making sure that people know this is happening and that you don't support it. I'm telling you, you show up around me saying it's funny that we're setting alligators on people. I'll judge you, let me tell you. And people should know that this is not acceptable behavior. So although it is frightening out there and there's a lot to be scared of, one of the things I keep saying to everybody is we don't have a choice to face this or not. The only way out is through, which, by the way, I believe is something that Harriet Tubman used to say when she enabled enslaved Americans to make their way to freedom. None of us wants to do this. I promise you, I would so much rather be writing my next book and kayaking and baking and knitting than doing what I'm doing now. But we don't have a choice. So we need to bring our A game. And the great benefit of that is we get to do it together and we get to learn new things and meet new people and learn new languages and help to create a much better world. And in that, we're all doing it together. So frustrating and frightening and sort of depressing as it is to be watching what's going on around us, the flip side of that is that this is a time of extraordinary possibility. And the piece that we need to bring to that is recognition that we don't support what's going on, but also a vision for the future. And we will not agree, which is fine. But we need to bring a lot of ideas to the table so that people recognize there's something on the other side, something to work for, something that we can put into place. And that we can all do.